Example 4. The definite integral from 1 to 3 of 1 over x to the fourth multiplied by the radical x squared plus 3 with respect to x. From the right triangle diagram, locate an angle theta. For this problem, we see x squared plus 3. Treat it as x squared plus some number to the second power. That tells us that number is square root 3. We see the pattern of the sum. That means both A and B are the shoulder legs of the right triangle. X as the opposite, A as the adjacent. The hypotenuse is the square root of x squared plus square root 3 squared, which is 3. The relationship of x and A, x over A, or x over square root 3 equals the tangent theta, or x equals square root 3 multiplied by the tangent theta. The differential x equals square root 3 multiplied by the secant square theta d theta. Now, we are going to work on the indefinite integral version of it. And then we'll come back to work on the lower and upper limit later, just to reduce the complication. So the integral, the dx, will be replaced with the square root 3 multiplied by the secant square theta d theta. X to the power 4th is the square root 3 times the tangent theta to the power 4. Square root of x squared, which is square root 3, tangent theta squared plus 3 under the square root here. Simplify the numbers. We have the square root 3 on the top or at the numerator, and the denominator we have square root 3 to the power 4. This one that reduced, that becomes 1 over square root 3 to the third power. Keep the numerator as secant squared theta d theta for now. The denominator is the tangent to the fourth of the theta. Under the radical, we have square root 3 squared, which is 3, tangent squared theta plus 3. For the radicand or the terms under the square root, we have the common factor 3 multiplied by the tangent squared theta plus 1. And the tangent squared theta plus 1 is the same as the secant squared theta. Simplify the denominator. The radical of 3 secant squared theta will give you square root 3 multiplied by the secant theta. We have another square root 3 to join outside coefficient. Becomes 1 over square root 3 to the fourth power. Integral. The secant theta reduced with 1 power of the numerator. Now we have the secant theta divided by the tangent to the fourth theta d theta. 1 over square root 3 to the fourth power is 1 over 9. Integral. Now we're going to rewrite it in a form that we have seen in the previous example, previous chapter. The secant theta, which is the same as 1 over cosine, the tangent to the fourth, which is sine to the fourth, divided by cosine to the fourth. We can rewrite it on the top here. And then rearrange the term. That will give us cosine to the second theta. No, cosine to the third, sorry. Cosine to the third theta multiplied by the sine to the negative fourth theta. Basically, we rewrite it as the product of the power of the cosine and the sine term. The cosine raised to the odd power. We use the technique that we strip one cosine power out to have cosine to the second multiplied by cosine to the first multiplied by sine to the negative fourth theta d theta. Replace the cosine squared with 1 minus sine squared theta. And swap the term here to write the sign to the negative fourth next to the parentheses and move the cosine theta next to the d theta. The next step, let u be sine theta. Differential u is cosine theta d theta. Substitute into the integration. Now we have 1 minus u squared multiplied by u to the negative fourth. The cosine theta d theta is now du. Simplify the integrand to get the integral u to the negative fourth minus u to the negative second with respect to u. Antiderivative of u to the negative fourth is u to the negative third divided by negative 3. The second term, u to the negative second, the antiderivative is u to the negative first over negative 1. And this is definite integral. We're going to start putting back the substitution and back to the original lower and upper limit. Now we have 1 over 9 multiplied by negative 1 over 3 u to the third power plus 1 over u. And recall u is sine theta. We have 1 over 9 negative 1 over 3 sine to the third theta plus 1 over sine theta. And our sine theta from the right triangle diagram, the sine is x over the square root of x squared plus 3. And the reciprocal, that would be square root of x to the second plus 3 over x to the power 3. And similar to the 1 over sine, which is the reciprocal of the cosecant, or square root of x squared plus 3 divided by x. The lower limit of the x is 1, upper limit of the x is 3. And substitute the value. The upper limit which is the value 3. 3 squared plus 3 over 3 to the third power plus the square root of 3 squared plus 3 divided by 3. Subtracted by replacing with the 1. So negative 1 over 3. Quantity square root of 1 plus 3 over 1 to the power 3 plus square root of 1 squared plus 3 over 1. And then simplify each number. And at the end, we should get the answer as 10 square root 3 plus 18 all divided by 243.